All right, and you've got just me today going up against wwalt. Um, ooh, interesting. He's got the Galvantula, but I've got Hatterene. That was kind of my game plan for the webs because I did actually bring Braviary, but it's not to default. It's a Spadef bulk up variant. I've got a Trick Room Hatterene with Psychic, Dazzling Gleam, and Draining Kiss. Hits his whole team. Terra Fairy Kingambit, by the way. I've got Terra, Water, Choice Scarf, Urshifu Rapid, Break Through the Sinistra, no other water resists, and Clean. I've got my Jirachi, Shuka Berry. I was planning on leading it. Try to catch the Landorus with an Icy Wind. And be pretty good. Oh, no Latios here is pretty interesting. That was a bit of a wrench into my game plan. I expected this 5 on the bottom plus Latios over the Galvantula just because I had the Hatterene. But I figured if he wanted to bring the Galvantula, the Latios also probably was likely to help pressure my Hatterene. So, but yeah, this is what I am rolling with. So, good luck, have fun to Walt. I think this is his second Wi-Fi game recorded ever. Obviously, week 1 of this league come before that, but always want to get a clean battle versus one of my friends. Yeah, we'll see what he leads in a second here. Oh, perfect. This is like exactly what we wanted to see. And we will live anything. And we can just go for a nice free Icy Wind. Sandsteer Storm. Okay, perfect. Are you... Okay, that is Life Orb damage. I looked at the calcs before the game, and there's an Icy Wind. Should get this guy nice and low. And get the speed drop. And I EV'd to make sure that we are faster. Another Icy Wind is fine. It'll put me into a fine position against anything that may want to come in. Unless, if I miscalced and he's like Modest Scarf, is that the end of the world for me? I don't think so, because it means my Urshifu's guaranteed faster for later in the game. He does switch. Oh, I guess Defiant Kingambit was a consideration that I should be aware of. Death Star. That is... his Wheezing. Okay, well, I have Psychic, so that's pretty fine. If he's trying to, like, bait some pivot turns, good on him, but in the meantime, is there, like, a status move that could come out here that I really don't want to face? I don't have a T-Spike immunity. Is T-Spike something that he would click here? Oh, he has Neutralizing Gas, so I can't bounce them anyways. I'm just going to Psychic. If he T-Spikes, he T-Spikes. Not the end of the world for me, because a lot of my offense, it's really annoying for my Ting Lu, but that's about it, right? And T-Spike up means he can't like Will-O-Wisp some of my guys, which is also pretty nice. He's just pivoting though, understandable. Effective Neutralizing Gas wore off, and Darth Vader's at the Kingambit. Yes, it is. Good pivot. He's Terra Fairy, but I don't think you click like a Fairy Terra Blast here. I don't think there's a world in which that happens. I'm just going to go into my Ting Lu and hopefully get up rocks. I think that's a solid plan. We'll see what he decides to click here. My guess is probably a Kowtow Cleave. Maybe he does get a little bit aggressive and go for it. He does just click Kowtow Cleave. I can afford to take one Fairy Terra Blast here. Pretty physically defensive, and I can just pop up my rocks. I think that's fine on my end. Yeah, should be. And Jirachi, not the most important piece for later in this game. I can afford to, you know, kind of pawn it off when I see fit if there is an opportunity where I'm just like, oh, you know, need to reposition. Jirachi's always there for that. He does hold on to his Terra, notably, and still holds on to it. And that is the Landorus. That's fine. A Throat Chop here should be pretty good. I think sacrificing my Jirachi here is actually probably a little bit better, just because I don't want to take like a big Life Orb Focus Blast. I'd rather preserve health on this because this is my best answer to the Kingambit, even though it is Terra Fairy. I'm actually unsure how much Heavy Slam does. I can I just want to see like the base power if I were to go for a quick calc. And he does click Focus Blast, so good thing that we scouted that out. And now he could just click like a more accurate move to finish me off. I assume I'm going to Encore in case his parting gift, he wants to like try to pop up rocks. He just U-turns though, which is fine by me. And that's why we held on to that Geometry. And he is the Life Orb confirmed, which we calced and we knew. What was I going to look up? Tinglu into Kingambit Heavy Slam. Heavy Slam is 120 into Kingambit. And there comes the Sinistcha. Bit of an annoying matchup for me, but I do think Meowscarada can adequately handle it. He could go into Wheezing here. He could also go into Kingambit or even Iron Valiant. I think Iron Valiant's a bit risky, but I think Colbur is relatively likely on this guy, so I'm going to Axel. If he's Helmet, that's really bad, and he could be Helmet for Urshifu, but I think Colbur on this one's a little more likely. He does swap, though. And out comes Death Star, that is the Wheezing, which will take rocks. And then I won't change types because of the Neutralizing Gas, which is a good interaction for him. That was a good good prep. And I do take Helmet. Okay. This will be something to keep in mind. Let's stop. We can stop the hits here. No, but it's okay. The Wheezing's at half. And health on Meowscarada isn't the most important piece. And it's good to know that we found his, whatchamacallit, his helmet. I'm going to go into Hatterene. I think starting a Trick Room Onslaught here could be pretty good. And this Wheezing looks to be very physically defensive and shouldn't really be doing too much to me. He does just Will-O-Wisp, which is fine. Yeah, and with the Neutralizing Gas, obviously it goes through my Magic Bounce. Could have been Ability Shield, didn't really think of that. Do I lose to a potential late game Galvantula Sticky Webs? I don't think so. If like my Hatterene gets a little bit chipped, I'm gonna go for one round of Trick Room, and he does set up the T-Spike here. Good for him. Could have gone for the Psychic and popped the Wheezing, but now does he want to potentially start like trying to pivot around? Is one consideration I could see, or does he say, you know what, I got my T-Spike up, I kind of did my job. I do think he wants to hold on to this Wheezing just because of the fact that it is a Rocky Helmet holder, which is really good for my two guys who like to have their multi-hit moves in the Triple Axle Meowscarada and the Surging Strikes Urshifu. So I do think he will pivot out, and he does. Perfect. Now we can see into what? Neutralizing Gas wears off. Good for us. Yoda. Yoda is the Sinistcha. Cool. So it'll take a round of rocks and one Dazzling Gleam. Whew, that does a lot of damage. I low-key did not expect that much. He must be relatively offensive, or at the very least like physically defensive. But which makes sense into an Urshifu, right? But I think I just want to click another round of Dazzling Gleam, right? His resist is a Wheezing that should die. Had I been Life Orb, he would have just dropped there, but I wanted the longevity from leftovers just because of the idea of Sticky Webs here, so, and then, oh, I guess I should note, my Meowscarada was Mirror Herb. This is because of Blastoise that was on the bench. I just think it's an important, like, note while it's on my mind, but should be able to just pick up a few more with Dazzling Gleam, just because I noticed when I was prepping, Hatterene's Magic Bounce would be important, but so would its Dual Stab, because his one Fairy resist was the Wheezing, which is obviously weak to Psychic. So that was kind of one spot where I thought I could leverage some damage into his team, as we do just get the clean KO with a Dazzling Gleam. And then I assume Kingambit will be the next mon in, and I don't want to die to Kingambit. But that's really good that the Sinistra is gone, because that is one guy in the way of my Scarf, Terra Water, Urshifu winning later in the game. C3PO is the Galvantula. This is kind of, you know, what I'm here for. So I'm just going to get another Dazzling Gleam off. Right? Cool. And that's a dead Galvantula. So now the value of my Hatterene has depreciated. And I can just click Dazzling Gleam into Kingambit if it wants to come in. I'm now content to do that and try to get the damage and get the Kingambit starting to get worn down. What else does he have left? He has the low Weezing. He has a Kingambit. He has a low Landorus, and he has an Iron Valiant. So, do I want to hold on to this thing for Iron Valiant is my other consideration. And I think the answer is no. I think I have ways around Iron Valiant. It's a bit dicey, actually. I should have my Braviary that can take one hit, because it's a Spidef Braviary, but enough with Brave Bird to pick up the KO on any Iron Valiant that isn't Koba Berry. And if he's Koba Berry, then he is not able to outspeed my Meowscarada, but he could be Vacuum Wave. But then he couldn't really kill my Urshifu. So we've got like a few layers to the counterplay. And there is the Kingambit. What do we want to click? So it does have the Supreme Overlord boost. I will just click Dazzling Gleam. Do about half, which is good damage. And go down. Is that the end of my Trick Room? Yes, it is. I think now, given that that was the end of Trick Room, I can either go into my Urshifu or into my Braviary and try to win the game. Or my Tinglu, but I think that's the worst of the three options. I guess Meowscarada is an option, but I don't want to send it in yet. Just given the presence of a Rocky Helmet Weezing. Urshifu, health on it, like I said, doesn't necessarily matter too much in this late game scenario. I guess we're in the mid game, but going into a late game scenario, the health on Urshifu isn't my biggest concern, so I think I will just go into my Urshifu. And click a Terra Water Surging Strikes and get one. Hopefully a Terra Water Surging Strikes only needs to hit Weezing twice from this range, which I believe is accurate based on the range that I thought it was at. And then if Iron Valiant comes in, I low-key think I just attack it so that it can't set up anything. Because if it sets up, that's my one lose condition. Would be like a Swords Dancing Iron Valiant with booster speed. So that's what I will play to prevent. Yeah, and we will need 2 hits, but not 3. Which is fine. Cool. Yeah, I guess we are a little bit dicey into Iron Valiant, but... Our Meowscarada looks good, assuming the Iron Valiant isn't Booster Speed or Vacuum Wave, so it'll be one of those two options, I'm sure. Maybe both, but probably not. I feel like that's a bit redundant. Leia is the Iron Valiant. Yeah, okay. So I just want to prevent it from setting up. And low-key, from this range, we if he's like a special set with like a Thunderbolt, we would die. Probably die to Moonblast as well, but because he's booster speed, he's not like any boosting item, which bodes well for like the survivability into a physical attack, because we have a decent bit of HP on this, because we didn't really need a lot of speed. We were speed for his fastest mon, which I believe was the Iron Valiant, but then there was like a noticeable speed gap in his team, especially for Pokemon that could be Choice Scarf, and so I felt like that was a good way to leverage my Urshifu. So we're Adamant. And he just does raw close combat, and we live on 2. Okay, that's really big for us. That's one of the cons of booster speed, obviously, is you limit the amount of damage that you can put out. I imagine that was a roll, though, even still. And wow, that will be a clean 2 hits to knock out the Iron Valiant. And then what's left is Landorus and Kingambit. I believe. Which should be pretty good. I can go into my Meowscarada and kind of play from there. Probably click knockoff so that I don't end up too weak into Gambit. Like a Sucker Punch. Or I could... Because I have low kick, but... low kick for a Gambit pre-Terra, but obviously post-Terra Fairy that won't do enough damage for me. He does just go into the Kingambit hard. So now I have an interesting position where it's like, do I want to try to kill this Kingambit, or do I want to play a Terra Call, basically? And I think I have an appropriate out in my Tinglu, because he has to Terra to really hit it. So that means that I can force the Terra and I don't have to play into this mind game. And I should live a +2 Terra Blast with my Kingambit, with my whatchamacallit, Tinglu, sorry. And so that should be pretty good for me. Gosh. Did I mess up into this endgame Kingambit? Did I need to just attack it there? He does just Iron Head. He doesn't Sword Stance, so we don't need to find out. I don't really have a good way of hitting this thing until it Terras, though. But I can, after this, go into... As long as I just keep clicking, you know, Throat Chop or Heavy Slam, because that prevents Landorus from coming in, and it'll put it low enough where I don't need to make a play. So yeah, I can just click. I believe these do the same amount of damage, but Heavy Slam has a higher upside into a Terra click. Or into a Landorus switch. Actually, I don't think it matters. Either way, it'll die. Yeah, dies to pretty much rocks. And now I think that the thing's low. Do I lose to Sword Stance here? Did I throw this up? I might have. Because Meowscarada, it's not like 50. It probably does die to +2 sucker. Fuck. I think I have to, like... Well, he doesn't know that I'm not Earthquake, right? Like, he has to think it. Because, like, I didn't go Earthquake because I thought Terra Fairy Kingambit was so obvious. But he's held off on clicking it for so long that makes me worried. Okay, now he does click it. So, that worked really well. Because if he Sword Stances, he dies. If he kills me with Terra Blast, I have my revenge options. I believe my choice of revenge should be Braviary. Probably has a better chance of living. Sucker Punch. And it'll kill with a Brave Bird. Yeah, a full health Braviary surely can do this. I'm gonna go, yeah, Brave Bird. Terra Blast. Oh, he's faster. I don't think that's possible unless he's Choice Scarfed. Which is... Whew, that was a lot of... Especially from like a Choice Scarf Kingambit. Unless I'm like very slow and I am like min speed. So maybe there's probably a world. Yeah, I guess max speed Adamant would just be faster. But you just need Sucker Punch, so... I don't know why he'd necessarily be that fast, but good game to wwalt. Real tight one. I think I could have definitely lost to an endgame Sword Stance Kingambit. I think I did play well in the early game. I feel like that was probably my best portion of the game, but then going into the mid and late game, I let things get dicey with the setup threats, but ultimately, it worked out for me. But we could be living in a world in which I'm 1-1, but instead I am 2-0 going into week 3. So if you enjoyed that, I hope you'll be back for more. Peace.